I'm about to The Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs. The Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs.
All right, welcome to the Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs. I got Pete O'Shea here. He moved here from Florida. He's living in St. Louis now, and so this is a big welcome to St. Louis.
Thank you.
Yes. How long have you been in St. Louis?
It was a year ago, December, we arrived here as refugees.
From the hurricane. Which hurricane was it?
Yeah, Hurricane Ian. Believe it or not, this is an interesting story. So 20 years I spent in the St. Pete, Clearwater area.
Mm-hmm.
The year before Hurricane Ian, I get a job offer to go start a nonprofit for disaster relief in Punta Gorda, Florida. We move there, and a hurricane destroys us while we're doing that.
Oh my gosh! No, what part of Florida was that?
That's like kind of the west coast between Sarasota and Fort Myers.
Okay, so you just moved there. This is right before the hurricane hit. So how long were you living there?
We're there about 6 months. We get everything established. We actually go on our first disaster relief. We went to Louisiana when they had their hurricane. We came back. We helped those folks out.
Yeah.
It's going great. The people that started with us was just going fantastic. And then Hurricane Ian's coming. Now, all week, brother, the spaghetti strings are heading out to sea. So everybody's like, oh, this is nothing. Going to be nothing. Okay.
What does it mean, the spaghetti strings?
On the TV, right? On the news, right? The weather. All those little spaghetti lines for where the storm is going to go, right?
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It's heading out to sea. It's just showing it heading out to sea, right?
Okay.
The last minute, that sucker turned right at us, came right on shore, right at our area, and stayed in our area for 15 hours at 160 miles an hour.
And you were there during the hurricane?
The whole thing,
So you were bunkered down?
Bunkered down. We evacuated our place because we were right on the water. My kids and grandkids lived in an apartment on the other side of town. We went all there. We were all huddled in the bathroom. I got the baby in my lap, the cats, the dogs, everybody. We're all just huddled, hoping we get through it.
Right.
28 people in our county died that night.
Wow.
The whole town, Malacca, Florida, destroyed. The whole town and just about everybody that lived in it was killed. And it wasn't that far from us.
But you lost your house, so the house had to cave in at one point? Or
Sure
something?
did. Caved. Yeah. It's completely destroyed, unlivable. Our jobs, the building I worked in was destroyed, everything. I mean,
15 hours, how long till the house collapsed that you were inside it?
Well, we were at my kid's apartment, so we were safe where we were.
Oh, okay.
Although we did get water coming in on every side. Okay. And you could feel like, stuff banging into the walls all night long. Big giant pieces of soffit and everything were flying. It looked like Wizard of Oz. I'm yelling Auntie M to the whole thing, okay? It was scary as all get out, man. And we didn't think we were going to make it, but we did, thank God.
Wow. And so what you're saying is, since you lost your house, how did that affect your job?
Well, my job was also, the building I worked in was also destroyed.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And my son, same thing. So we were all down there. We wound up living with them for a while in their apartment, but then their apartment got condemned because it was also beat up pretty bad and was getting really bad mold. So we had nowhere else to go, no jobs left. We'd run up the credit cards as high as you could, and we didn't know what we were going to do.
Well, how about the insurance policies and things like that?
Thanks so much. Useless. Insurance policies are useless.
When it's like a big disaster like that, they just don't give,
they don't care. They had a week to prepare. They were ready.
Right.
So when he come up the driveway, the assessor, to look at my house the next day with me, he already had on the iPad the number, $7,900. That's all he was going to offer. Okay,
for your whole entire house.
For the whole house, which is 10% of my mortgage, by the way, $7,943 to the dollar, 10% of my mortgage, which is what he should have paid off the insurance company, the full thing, and just made us whole.
Right.
That's all they ever offered. They stuck to their guns. We took them to court. We got our butts kicked.
Wow.
Okay, and so they repossessed. And they sued us, and we still owe them on a house we'll never, ever, 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 ever be able to live in again. It got, I'm sure by now, just torn down.
Right.
And that's how it turned out. FEMA told me to go scratch. They said, you got insurance, so the heck with you. And the insurance adjuster, here's the part where I really wanted to smack him, Dustin.
Yeah.
As he's showing me that $7,900, and I'm laughing at him, going, dude, you got to be kidding me, right? He says to me, and I quote, your situation doesn't suck enough for me to care.
Wow.
I said to him, dude, you're lucky that my grandson is right here, or else I would have knocked you so far on your ass.
How do people work those types of jobs and be able to sleep at night?
right?
I don't understand like how like people can do that as a job and then be able to sleep at night.
I don't get it either. And we had expert after expert prove to them that even if they could rebuild it, that mold had already built into that. There was no way that house was livable. Dude, over a whole year, they never budged from that 79.43.
Wow.
And no matter how much we begged, pleaded, cried, whatever, they never moved. Talking about not being able to, how can you sleep at night knowing you're doing that to people?
Well, how, so was it, it's not like a big name insurance company, was it? It was a big, like State Farm or something?
No, it wasn't State Farm, no.
Yeah,
it was, so, but they had us, they knew, they got 10 lawyers, they got Dewey, fuck 'em and how, I can't keep up with that, okay?
Did everybody else in your neighborhood get kind of fucked over too?
Sure, pretty much everybody did, okay? Wow. Again, so there was a week for them to prepare. The storm was on the TV news every night.
Right.
So they were just preparing and getting their office already in gear, and they knew exactly what they were going to do, and they have you over a barrel. They got 10 lawyers for every one you can produce.
Right.
And so they got us, but good.
Wow.
And we wound up with nothing. We wound up literally destitute, okay? We ran up every credit card. Dude, it took them 6 days just for the water to recede for them to get food in. So we went without food for 6 days. We were eating ketchup on crackers at the end before they finally could get food into us.
Like a Katrina situation.
It was kind of like Mad Max. It was like that, okay? The National Guard was surrounding the gas station and guarding the gas every night. People were fighting over the last $20 that came out of the ATM machine or the bank, It was crazy. It was the air sting to your chest when it touched you or when you breathed it.
Yeah.
When the water hit you when you showered, it was stinging and burning because all the phosphates and junk had all blown up into the air and into the water supply.
Wow.
It was absolutely apocalyptic.
Wow.
It really was. I saw the next day a Mercedes on top of an RV. On top.
On top, wow.
So that means that's how high the water had risen.
Yeah.
Okay, that's, 25 feet, 20 feet.
So none of all your stuff and clothes and all, it was all ruined.
Gone,
everything,
everything.
Ruined. All your
we saw the baby pitches
yeah.
rolling down the puddles, that had turned into rivers. We lost it all.
Wow.
And we didn't know what else we were going to do. We had nowhere else to go. Now, my wife was born and raised here, St. Louis, Hazelwood.
Yeah. Okay.
Her mom is still in the same little house they were all brought up in.
Okay.
So we showed up there as refugees with everything we still had left, Hey, hi, Ma, can we come live with you? Yeah. But here's the way I look at it, pal. I had, again, myself, my wife, my son, my daughter-in-law, my 2 grandkids, a dog, and 2 cats with us. Not one of us had a single scratch.
Yeah.
So by the way of the world, right now, my ledger, I'm destitute. But by the way, I really want to see things the way that really matters. I'm the richest guy in town still.
Right.
Because we didn't get a single scratch, and we still got all that love all around us. And they came with us here, too. So they're here in St. Louis also.
Does it make you think different? Because I know people that just like collect all kinds of shit all the time, and then I don't know if something like that happened to somebody like that. I think they would probably materialistic stuff's probably irrelevant now.
It is irrelevant.
Right.
You know what? Those pictures and those things we lost, those memories are still in my heart.
Yeah.
Again, I can still look every day at my grandkids. They're still there. They're okay.
Right.
So who the heck cares about the crowd? It's all material. It's all garbage anyway. It doesn't matter. You can't take it with you anyways.
Right.
It's easily replaceable. You can go down to IKEA or anywhere else and get more plastic furniture. But I couldn't get another set of grandkids or another dog.
Right.
Another wife.
So then you moved to St. Louis. You're in Hazelwood. How is it that, so you're a little bit of all your background, you're a pastor, right?
I'm a pastor. My wife and I have a nonprofit called Life in Action Mission. Okay. I'm also been a stand-up comic for 36 years.
Stand-up comic, okay.
I did that full-time for 23 years.
So obviously you have a little bit of an accent to you. You probably not originated from Florida.
No.
Right.
Yeah. How you doing? Forget about it.
Right. So you grew up. Where did you grow up as a kid?
I grew up on Long Island. I was born in Rockaway Beach, New York.
So you did stand up up there?
Yeah, I sure did. Yeah.
Wow.
That's where I started.
Some stories. I bet you've probably seen shit back in the 80s and stuff. That's when like the big boom was.
I came in right after Seinfeld and those guys.
Okay.
So I opened for Dennis Leary. I opened for Kevin James once or twice.
Holy shit.
I got to see some of the really big guys and girls doing it. I got to be in right at when it was really blowing out with TV and everything like that. That's when I kind of came into it. And it was great. I had a wonderful time. 23 years in a row was my full-time job. It was a fantastic way to make a living.
You did 23 years.
23 years full
traveling?
time. Yep, traveling up and down I-95. You'd start 9 months of the year. You're on the road. Okay, you start in New York, you straight down I-95, all the way to Orlando and back, or even sometimes Key West and back, and then the whole summers I would spend up in the Catskills in upstate New York.
Doing comedy
Doing
up there.
comedy up there. Yeah.
So, like, what type of gigs were you just basic clubs or
comedy clubs back then? A lot of colleges.
Yeah.
And the colleges did not understand the pay structure. They were ridiculously overpaying us, and we weren't about to correct them.
Yeah.
Okay, dude. In the '80s, with 6 of us there, you only got to do a 15-minute set. We were getting $800 on a Tuesday.
$800 just for 15 minutes.
Cash on a Tuesday in the '80s.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
And wow, we weren't going to tell them. You know, that was one of the biggest paydays I ever had. Actually, the biggest one I made $1,000 once on a Wednesday night opening for Andrew Dice Clay.
No shit. Wow.
Yeah. At a place called Jimmy's Comedy Alley. Now, he was an absolute jerk to me. He was everything you would imagine him to be.
Right.
To me in person. We get there to the club. I go in the green room. He stands in front of the door. It's just for me. That's what are you talking about, dude? I'm on the show. Nah, you can't. Nah. Dude, he said I have to go in there. The club owner wants me in there. Then he runs over, gets me in, runs over by the food, stands in front of the food. It's just for me.
Yeah.
10 minutes later, I try to go to the bathroom, same thing. So finally, I snapped. I couldn't take it. I said, listen, Fonzie, okay, you may be the big man in comedy, but in real life, I'm the big man. I'm going to whip your ass if you say one more thing to me. I swear to God, I had enough of your shit, right? And then I got up there, and instead of doing my act, I just impersonated him. You know,
really? You roasted him?
Oh, yeah. There was a full crowd, too. Big packed audience. And I'm going, Bush, Jack and Jill. Right? Oh, he's fuming. You can see the smoke coming out of
my
his
God,
ears.
that's amazing.
I come
Amazing
off the
story.
stage, and he snaps his finger like this. He had his minions, like 6 little guys. Literally, he snaps them, and they come around in a circle around me like they're going to beat me up.
Yeah.
I just shoved them out of the way. I'm like, dude, you're going to have to do this yourself, man. So he backs down. But now the end of the night, we got paid. I got $1,000 again for a Wednesday in the '80s, cash.
Right. Was he nice to you after that?
No.
Oh,
Okay. So he got paid the door, brother. He got 40 grand in 5, 10s, and 20s in a Macy's shopping bag.
40 grand.
40 grand. And he just shoves it in my face and he goes, "Who's the big man now?" I said, "All right, you got me, dude. But I tell you this, you better have those 6 guys walk you out to the car with that money, because if I catch you in the parking lot, I'm gonna knock you over the head and Robin Hood that money."
Right. Wow. Okay. So, who else have you worked with as kind of not like you would think? Or
okay, Dennis Leary, complete opposite. You know, he has that song, "I'm an Asshole."
Yeah.
Like
I
that.
heard he's a pretty nice dude.
Super nice guy. The
Yeah.
2 weeks I was with him, he wouldn't let me pay for anything. We went to dinner, we went to ball games, we went everywhere. And he's like, "I know what you're making. Put your money away." And he took care of everything. And he was super nice to me. He looked after me, made sure I was okay at all the time. Kevin James, also super nice.
Yeah.
Constructive with his help with my act. Dude, take an extra second, pause, turn to them again, then say that next line. Do this, do it. So he was taking notes during my set and helping me.
Wow.
Okay?
Yeah.
That was really cool. And he had not gotten King of Queens yet, but he was already the biggest comic in our area. He was already the biggest guy in our area.
Oh, he came from your area?
Yeah, he came from Long Island also. Yeah.
Okay.
Adam Ferrero was also from that area, if you knew him.
Yeah.
Guys like Bob Nelson came from that area. And so, you know, those were all the guys I saw as I was coming up.
What's the Cellar? Did you play at the Cellar?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's like the thing that I think the movies. It was a great show on HBO. I guess it got canceled. It's called Crashing. But anyways, it was about the scenes at the Cellar. Or whatever.
A lot of great clubs in that day. Dangerfields, I did a lot. Caroline's, you know, I did that. There was a place on Staten Island, Grandpa's. Remember Grandpa Al Lewis from the Munsters? Yeah. He owned a joint, a comedy club on Staten Island. Okay. And dude, he had 2 floors and an elevator, and you did 6 shows a night. And you did your first show, you got in the elevator, and as you're going up, you could already hear them introducing you. You did that show, then back down, then back up, then back down, all night long till 1 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
Those were the days.
So for your some of your routines you did, like how would you work your set? Like when would you recycle jokes, and when would you? I guess you kept adding new jokes into the cycle as you kept going.
You would kind of keep adding and then take a little bit out, keep adding.
Yeah.
I did a lot of impressions back in that day, so I used to do Schwarzenegger as a gigolo. I'm gonna follow your breasts right now, and you can stop me. But don't be scared. Mike Tyson showed me how to do this.
That's pretty good. That's really good. Wow.
I did Archie Bunker. Remember him, All in the Family?
Yeah, yeah.
I used to do him as a pothead. Jeez, there, Edith, huh? Jeez, what the heck with the easily wired is there? Go get the treat chamber bong, huh?
That's pretty good. Damn, that's really good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, I did, a lot of impressions. So those were good because they were longer bits, and you could cycle them in and out depending on who was hot, who was not.
Right.
So, when there was, trends came up or whatever. And people always wanted the Schwarzenegger and the Bunker, though. Those were the two. And I used to do the Godfather, too. That was another one that everybody knew me for.
Which character in the Godfather?
Marlon Brando I would do.
Oh, okay.
I'd do him going into 7-Eleven to try to shake down them because they were selling the Big Gulp for too little money. I don't understand. Big giant cup of soda for 49 cents. How are we going to make any money? Teeny weeny cup of soda. That's what you got, so that was that bit. And people loved them. I did Ross Perot, if you remember him back in the day.
Well, yeah. I mean,
when he was running for president the second time, he wouldn't come to New York for rallies. So they hired me, and I was behind the curtain, like I was on the phone, but it was him. Now, you need me to do it, I'll do it.
No shit.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to get in conspiracy theories quite yet on the show, but like I heard that kind of with Biden, that there's been fake impersonators of Biden that they've seen with like this.
I wouldn't shock me at all.
I wouldn't shock me at all. But anyway, so they would actually do that.
They saw me doing it at a comedy club. I was doing a Ross Perot bit. And my bit with Ross Perot was that he accidentally sprayed Miracle Grow on his penis and it got bigger, so he bought the company.
Oh, wow.
I'm the CEO of Miracle Grow. I'll make it bigger, boy. Come here.
Well, when you were doing these events for them, you had to be legit.
Me a script. They just gave me a script. They gave me a script. I stood behind the curtain. He's on the phone with us right now, presidential candidate Ross. Hey, y'all doing? I'm with you all the way now. We're going to do. Now, you're going to let a chicken plucker from Arkansas have the White House. That's like letting a man that has a hot dog stand run all the Walmarts. It's the same thing.
Okay. So, how would you get booked for these? Did you have an agent that you would go?
I had a booking agent who took care of everything.
Okay.
And after a while, you got on to the same, say, 2 or 3 guys who you were always together with. So you just set up a tour together, the 3 of you, and you just went. So that's what I like. When it got to the point where you could kind of pick and choose, I had my 2 best friends in the comedy world, which were Howard and Pat. And the 3 of us went out and toured together for many, many years.
So you'd go out with a group, and then you'd figure out their connections with these different venues. And
they would set up the venues for you all the way down. Okay, so all the way down 95, every little town along the way, all the small towns, there's a comedy club. At least they used to be. Okay,
right.
And all the people came out together at like 6:45, like cow. They just come on down. They knew you. They remember, hey, Pete, I got that roast beef like you liked last time, right? And you just did them every year.
And so when you would hit those small towns, you'd probably just do a little research, go to like, okay, what's this town? Because I see comics when they come through St. Charles or they come through St. Louis, say, they'll say something about like Vest Soda or something, you know what I'm saying? They'll pick something up, and they usually start that at the beginning of their set because that's something, that's probably improv.
That they can connect with, right?
So they're connecting with the audience, and then then they probably start going into their normal set.
So you get into town like Thursday, so you got a day or 2 to do a little recon, as we like to call it.
Recon, okay.
You go do a little recon to find out what's going on in the area.
Okay.
And then you're going to try to get that. Because if you can get them to like relate with you right away, then you own him, okay? Then they're yours.
Right.
So if you give them something they're relatable to them, you've taken a little extra time to find out a little bit about them, and you got to laugh with it, bang, you're in after that. Okay, and so I just did that every year, 23 years, man, up and down that I-95. And we just lived in our cars, and we just took off. I mean, I knew where every hotel was. I know where every horse track was in the entire East Coast because was nothing else to do during the day, okay? And we used to travel on the same route as the Pizza Hut guy. And so he was the guy that delivered the big trucks.
The dough and shit.
Yeah. So he would get the same hotel as us. He'd wave at us. We'd meet him in the kitchen at 2:00 in the morning, and we'd be making pizzas after the show.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So stand up, and then because your story kind of reminds me of what's the famous comedian that was from the 80s that he was I think he was a pastor first. He was the screamer guy. It was Not Andrew Dice Clay. It was the other one that died in the car accident.
Oh, Sam Kinison.
Sam Kinison.
Yeah.
So he was kind of a religious guy too, right?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
So were you kind of a religious person back then, or is that something that came?
It came later. Came later. Okay. I mean, I was raised uber Catholic by a woman, a woman who just still genuflects wherever she moves and gives out Eucharist to everyone who lives. But I kind of skewed away from that, started partying hard, all that kind of stuff. It wasn't until my late 30s that I came back around to the Lord. Okay, and that was after I was already done with comedy. So when I was 19, I got into a really bad car accident. I have a spondylolisthesis in my spine.
What does that mean?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I asked. I said, what the hell is that? Can I have something else?
Metal? Is that metal or is that rod or something?
No, what here was so the L4 5 vertebrae sit like this here, right?
Okay.
In the accident, it came forward and all the way over to the side, the L4, and it sat on top of the nerve coming out of L5 for 17 years. I was in agony, okay?
Wow.
And I'm out there on the road every year just taking as many pills as I can get my hands on. First it was drinking, then I quit drinking because I had to. When you know it's time to drinking, when you go to wipe something off your shoulder and it's the floor, okay? That's it, And
okay.
All right? And so then it was Percodan, Vicodin, and Lieutenant Dan after that, okay? And then I was just trying to survive. And at 36, I couldn't take it no more. I was in agony, okay? I couldn't do it. So I actually signed up to get the open surgery, the one you just were talking about, with the metal and the plates and all that. They were going to put 2-foot incisions on both sides of me.
Okay.
Take bones off my hips, shave them in there, and then put the whole thing in titanium, cage it up.
Right.
For 50-50 chance that was going to work. So when I was 19, they offered me that surgery. I said, no way. That sounds barbaric. It's insane. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
36, I go back to see the doc, the same surgery, the same 50-50 odds. I yelled at him. I said, you can't hit the fairway yet? What the hell you been doing for 17 years?
Right.
Have you practiced on anybody since I left? What the hell you doing?
Right. Well, then your bones are going to be a different structure, too, at 30 than it would be at 18.
Exactly. So it's going to be much worse. So I signed up for it reluctantly because I wanted to get back on the road and I was in agony. But, dude, here's where God comes in. That night, after I signed up, I was sweating to death. I couldn't go to sleep. And I finally passed out, and I had a dream. Much crisper than a regular dream, like HD TV to regular TV, right? In that dream, I got the guy, he's got the knife, and I'm on the table, and he's got this big giant knife. He's about to come right down and open my back up, and I hear, Peter, don't do it. Don't do it, Peter. Dude, I knew right away it was God, because only my mother and God get away with calling me Peter. My name is Pete.
Right.
Okay? All right? It's a difference one letter can make. Hey, I'm Peter. Hi, I'm Peter. Hi. Okay, so I can't I can't tell God or my mother what to do. So in the dream, he said to me, you're gifted. I've taught you how to speak. There's a guy out there that's gifted. I taught him how to do surgery different. Find this man. Tell him not only to fix your back, but to give you a job afterwards, so together you will cure thousands. And you tell this man that failure to assist you will lead to his eternal damnation. And the dream ended.
And you remember that when you woke up?
I popped right out of bed, remembering every bit of that. And I'm screaming. I'm on the phone. I'm on the internet. Back then, the internet was a dial-up thing that took your foot. It was that. Okay.
Yeah.
So by the next morning, I got everybody I know at my house. We're trying to figure this out. I find a guy on the internet. I was 36, so that was 23 years ago. Okay. I find a guy in Hudson, Florida. I'm in New York. Arthroscopic laser-assisted surgery while you're awake. I said, it's got to be him. Nowadays, everybody does it that way. But he was the only one back then.
Back then it did it, yeah.
So I sent him an email with everything, including failure to assist me will lead to your eternal damnation. At this point, my mom is there, and she's over my shoulder. She goes, you can't put that in there. He's going to think you're crazy.
Right. I was kind of thinking that too, yeah.
But I said to him, look, if he does his research, he's going to find out I'm crazy anyways.
Right.
And this is what God said to put, so I'm just going to put it.
Yeah.
He emails me back 2 minutes later. How did you know we were looking for a new spokesperson? The guy just quit yesterday. They were using Cliff Stout, the backup quarterback from the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was the guy going around telling the story and getting people to fly down and do the surgery. But he didn't want to do it no more. He said, I didn't know. He said, well, send me the film. It's all in my book, by the way. Pain Was My Friend.
Yeah.
So I sent him down the film. He calls me the next day, and he says, dude, this is the worst spine I've ever seen in my life. I can't help you. I can't do this. I heat up the disc. It shrinks. They go home. That's it. We put a Band-Aid on. We all go home.
Right.
What the heck am I going to do with you? I said, well, I'm telling you, you're the one. So if you don't help me, you're going to hell. And he said, well, I ain't going to hell, so come on down here. I'll literally invent the surgery for you. We'll figure it out. Yeah. If you're willing to share the risk with me, we'll do it.
Wow.
Okay. So flew down to Florida. Sits me down. First thing he said was interesting. He said, now that open surgery they wanted to do to you, your instincts were right. It was never going to hold. That cage would have popped back out again. Yours is too far down. Yeah. If they've tried to force it back, it would have popped again. You were right. He said, I'm not going to try and do that. I can't do that. But I came up with an idea. The one that's hanging over, I'm going to go in with a tube. I'm going to put a chisel down there, and I'm going to chisel a triangle where that vertebrae is hanging over, and I'm going to stick the nerve through the channel that I created. He goes, it should work. I said, what do you mean it should work? He says, I have no idea whether it's going to work. I never did this before. Well, I'm winging it here, dude. He goes, I'm just making this up as we go.
Oh, wow.
He says, so you want to do it? I said, yeah. He goes, all right, one more thing. It's going to take 4 hours. It's going to be the worst 4 hours of your life, and I can't put you out conscious for this.
Wow, okay. Wow.
I said, what do you mean? Why not?
Wow.
He said, if I get too close to the nerve, okay, and I cut it, you'll never walk again. You're going to have to tell me whenever I get too close. I said, how the hell am I going to tell you? He goes, whenever you scream really loud, I'll just back up a little bit.
Oh, man.
So
at 30, you said 36.
Right. I'm 59 now.
So you had the surgery.
I had that surgery right there in Hudson, Florida, while I was awake, 4 hours. Dude, the worst, it was brutal. Screaming my head off, crying, wildly gesticulating, sweating like Boy George eating a hot dog, okay? Horrible. And when it was over, well, about halfway through, I was ready to give up. I said, I can't take it no more. He comes around, he grabs me by my soaking wet head.
Yeah.
You got me into this. You and your eternal damnation. I'm not going to hell because you can't handle it, so suck it up, Cupcake. You owe me 2 hours. Just as I look over at that point, I look up into the ceiling tile. Dude, I saw a full apparition of Jesus Christ right there. And he's smiling and waving at me going, come on, come on.
Wow.
Come get your miracle.
Yeah.
So I let him finish up. 2 hours later, I'm laying here. He's about where you're sitting.
Yeah.
And he says to me, okay, dude, get off the table and walk over here. Now, meanwhile, I could not walk when I got there. My leg dragged behind me like a useless appendage.
It kicked in that soon, and there's no recovery.
I know, right? Yeah, I got up and walked to him. That's a miracle, dude, because even though he freed the nerve and got rid of the pain, the muscle atrophy was beyond. I was just jelly in my leg.
Yeah, yeah.
Yet I still stood up and walked to him.
Wow.
Okay, and we walked into the post-op together. I'll never forget my old man, God rest his soul, is screaming at that point. Look at that leg. That leg didn't work when we got here. That leg didn't work when we got here. And then a half hour later, I got dressed. We walked out the front door. We went and got pizza.
Yeah.
And that was my miracle right there.
And then so after that, so you're done with the comedy. Then how did obviously you were touched by God, and so what made you start doing preaching? And
okay, so the next thing was I worked for him for the next 6 years.
Oh, you worked? Oh, good.
And I traveled around the country every Saturday. We did another ballroom somewhere in America, told the story, and then they all flew down. When that ended, I actually did too good of a job. I talked myself out of that job. He didn't need me anymore. I then became the youth pastor at my church.
Okay.
I didn't really want to become the youth pastor at my church, but my pastor was like, dude, all the kids love you. They all you got a lot to say. You're a good guy. Do it. Okay, I did it. Then I'm giving a speech one day at a youth conference, and a Christian radio station is there. They come over. Hey, man, you want to come on the air and be part of our team? Sure. So I started out as the morning drive time guy. Then I became the afternoon drive time guy. I did a 3-hour daily talk show about Jesus Christ for 10 years.
So 3 hours. I mean,
I was
every day.
Every day, 3 to 6.
Jesus is a great person, but that's a lot of talk about one person.
We'd have ministry leaders, pastors, authors on, we did some sketches. We did, we'd bring other comedians, other singers and all that kind of stuff. But it was all upbeat, all Jesus related, all, with prayer involved and everything. And it was great. It was a full-time job at a little AM radio station. There's no such thing as a full-time guy at a Christian talk station.
Yeah.
But I made it happen. I sold my own advertising. I built the show together. I did events every weekend. Dude, I was kissing hands and shaking babies. Wait, reverse that. Okay, every weekend, 6-7 events.
Wow.
And eventually I built it up to where 250,000 people
So is that how most people get on talk radio? That's kind of, so do they've kind of sell their own advertising? I mean,
if you want to make it, I mean, a small AM station, if I waited for the guy who was the salesman to sell me, I would have gone out of bit. I would have lost it. So I just started selling myself. I started booking all the guests. I started booking all those events. I started doing a lot of comedy benefit shows at the churches.
And that was
huge.
Clean comedy.
Clean comedy.
Now, so is that hard to turn on and off as a comedian?
Yes. Especially if, like, say this. So last week I did a bar on Thursday. When I got there, they're like, "You better be dirty, or else they're not going to hand you. They're going to hand you your lunch." Okay, and then the next time I'm doing a church. So it's two completely different acts.
Yeah, because I went to a cruise one time, and then they had the kids show, same comedian, kids show. Then later on, it was like the dirty show, which I thought was pretty amazing. That this guy actually said some of the same jokes, but it was just a little went different directions.
Exactly, you can just change them. Exactly. So to write the second act that was for the church took a little extra work. Okay, you're not going to punctuate every sentence with the F word. You're not going to just kind of frighten them into laughing. You've got to work at it. Okay, but I did. You know, when we first started doing it, everybody said, "You're never going to be able to do comedy benefit shows in churches." I said, "Yeah, you're right, probably, but we'll do it anyway." You know, God will figure it out.
Now, have you ever slipped up and said, like, you know, the old F word or something accidentally one time, or something like during a clean show?
No, I never did. There were a couple of times maybe we left an innuendo hanging, you know, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I do a joke where I say I lost 70 pounds, and the audience claps, and I go, "Yeah, I got circumcised." And yeah, so stuff like that would sometimes leak out. But for the most part, you're really thinking it through. You're making sure you're doing it right. Dude, we raised a ton of money, over probably about $500,000 total.
Wow.
Put roofs on churches.
Wow.
Fed people. And one of the shows, they raised about $8,000, and they flew to Thailand. And they bought every girl that would have been sold into sex slavery that day.
Really? Wow.
Dude, I told a couple of jokes on the altar of a church, and that's what happened. Okay, so wow.
You saved some girl's life. It's living a better life.
They're all having a great life now.
Right.
You know, a whole group of them. So, you know, anything is possible. So now I try to do mostly church shows. Since I've gotten here, we've done about 4 or 5 church shows. I did a widows and widowers Valentine's Day thing, which I thought was really going to be rough because I figured they're not going to be in a good mood that day, right? But they wound up working out great, you know. Did a show 2 weeks ago for a church, got a couple of those coming up. I like to do those benefits. They mean more. You're putting your gift to really good use.
Yeah.
The audience is really appreciative. They have very low expectations, which is great also. So you don't have to feel any kind of pressure. When you're in the comedy club, you have to get a laugh every 3 beats. Well, you will be replaced.
Every 3 beats? What's
1, 2, 3, you better get a laugh. 1, 2, 3, you better get another laugh.
Okay.
And if you're not getting that for your whole set, when you come off, your replacement will already be standing there and you are fired.
Yeah.
Okay. So who wants that kind of pressure for the measly amount of money they're paying these days? So I can set my own terms. I can do shows in a wonderful environment where everybody wants us there, where they're just thrilled that we're there. And it's a lot of fun. And again, for a really good purpose. 2 weeks ago, I did the show. They raised $1,200. They're going to be able to repaint and redo the whole sanctuary. Again, we told a couple of jokes. They served some spaghetti. We all went home, and they're going to be able to redo the whole church.
Wow.
That's really awesome when you get to do stuff.
That is amazing, yeah. That's amazing. So you wrote a book about, you mentioned your book here just a second ago. It was called
Pain Was My Friend.
Pain Was My Friend. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I about the whole thing, about the accident, everything that happened, all those years of the pain, everything I went through, all the emotional and spiritual beatdown, the drinking and the drugs and everything else. I was honest about it all. I filleted myself in the book. And it was important to share all of that and get it out and to show them, look, the miracles can happen if you believe. I mean, I walked off that table and helped all those other people. So in the book, at the first half, I make Pain a person. I didn't do it. I didn't take the drugs. It was Pain. He talked me into it, like, you know, the kid who teaches you how to play with matches or something, right? I, in the end, copped to it, though, at the end of the book and admitted, hey, it was all me. I did it wrong, and I had plenty of friends. I just was a screw-up, you know? But when you're in that much pain, brother, you cannot think straight.
So to write because I wouldn't even know how to start to write a book about my life. So did you ever have these notes kind of in your jokes with some of these things? Or I mean, how did you write into a diary? How did you have?
Great question.
Yeah.
I had a friend named Kevin Malarkey who wrote a pretty popular book. I think he sold about 1.5 million copies. About he and his son had gotten in a car accident. It was his fault, and the son is now quadriplegic because of him. And he wrote a book telling the whole story. So I asked him, how'd you do that, man? He said, don't think about it as a book. Don't sit down, chapter 1, page 1, and start writing. It's not going to work. Get a little tape recorder, record all your thoughts and feelings, all your ideas, everything that happened, all the things you can remember, and then take it to somebody, a transcriptionist, a typist, somebody who's good at it, and have them type the whole thing up.
Yeah.
And then just sit down with it like a jigsaw puzzle, and it'll start to put itself together like a book. And that's how it happened. I didn't even think about chapters and all that until the very, very end.
Was it kind of almost like a therapy thing for you as well?
Absolutely. Very cathartic to be able to look it all out again, to say it all out again, to kind of purge it.
Yeah.
Okay. And when people tell you they got something from it, somebody just sent me, I got a message from somebody yesterday. My friend wants to talk to you. He read your book and he said it saved his life. That made all the pain worth it.
Yeah.
Okay. A kid in prison in Texas wrote me a letter. I realize now it was childhood pain, emotional trauma that made me a criminal. I don't want to do that anymore. Your book taught me that. I'm going to go on and have a better life.
Yeah.
It makes it all worth it. Makes it all worth it. And I had a lot of stories like that, a lot of letters. The publisher used to send them to me. People really got something from it. They connected with it.
Right.
We've all had pain. I didn't just focus on the back pain, the emotional, the spiritual pain, the everything that goes into it. And many people related to it. So that made it worth it. That made it where, okay, it was like a badge of courage. All that pain, all that suffering at least has a value. It was for a reason. And I'm glad that I was able to help all those people.
Wow. And so this is available on Amazon.
You can go on Amazon. You can also go on lifeinactionmission.com, which is our website. Or we also have another one called InspireU.org, and on there you can get the book. We also have video courses that I have. I have a 6-hour video course on hope, living a life of sustained hope.
Now what's a video course? Was it
so? It's 6 1-hours. You would just buy you just buy it from our Inspire University, and we'll send you the links of the 6 1-hour courses.
But so is it you talking to the
It's
camera?
just me talking to the camera. There's an introductory week, and then hope is an acronym: humility, opportunity, power, and expectation. And then so that's week 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then there's a final one. And in each session there are exercises, activities that we get them to do. Okay. So the idea is you can live a life of sustained hope if you reset your mind and you humble yourself and you seek opportunity and you see where real power is and you have the expectation, you believe that it's going to happen. So my wife also made a course. Hers is on healing. So you watch mine first, hope, and then you see hers. Hers is an acronym too.
And how long have you and your wife been together?
It's 6 years. 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
6 years. She's a pastor as well. He and her dad started Life in Action Mission 14 years ago here in St. Louis.
It's called Life in Action?
Life in Action Mission, or Liam for short.
Oh, Liam. Okay. I've actually heard of Liam. Okay.
Yeah, Liam.
I've seen people with the acronyms on their shirts or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's her. And so they started here in St. Louis 14 years ago. That's how I met them. They were guests on my talk show. My father-in-law, at that point, wasn't my father-in-law, and Shannon, my wife, who wasn't my wife at that point, were guests on the show. We stayed friends for many, many years. I did comedy benefit shows for them. And then 10 years later, we swing around to each other, and we're both single at that point, and 4 months later, we were married.
Okay.
And then we started touring together. She has a book also called Scars That Heal. And again, we both have the video courses, and we were out touring with something we called the Healing Tour when COVID hit. We actually got stranded in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee.
Oh, wow. So where were you stranded, just like in the town? Or stranded?
So we had like 200 churches set up that we were doing. We were in an RV at that time.
Oh, RV, okay.
Okay. And so we're traveling around. And then when we got to Tennessee, that's when COVID hit, and all 200 churches canceled at once.
Okay, that was like
and we're literally
March 20-something.
Yeah, and we're all stuck. Now we're literally stuck there with nowhere. We had hardly enough money to get back. We just got jobs and stayed there for a while.
No more money's coming in.
No more money coming in, so we got jobs. I worked at a Civil War theater.
Well, but did Tennessee really shut down that? I guess
it just for a short period of time, and then they came right back up.
3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, and then they came right back up.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I was the warm-up comic, and I was the understudy for the main part at a Civil War theater.
Okay.
Yeah. And my wife worked at Dollywood.
Oh, at Dollywood? Okay.
Yeah, so we did that until we were able to raise enough money to come back home, and then we went back to Florida.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we do the healing tour together. Her book and mine go dovetail together. Pain Was My Friend, Scars That Heal.
Okay.
She's a miracle healing also. She died for 2.5 minutes.
How did that happen?
She had 23 different medications that she was on. She took several of them at the same time. It gave her a really bad reaction. Her heart and lungs shut down, and she was dead for 2.5 minutes. She went to heaven. She saw the gates are not pearly, according to her. Mm-hmm. They're big gold gates with big jewels on them. And she
big jewels on them?
Big jewels on them. And she was about to walk through. The doors open. And then she came back to consciousness, and she just heard a voice say, "Not yet, not yet."
Yeah.
And she went back. And
There's a story of the kid that happened actually here in Winsville. He fell through the ice, and he was like dead for like 20-something minutes, and they finally brought him back or whatever. But yeah, so she wrote a book about that called Scars That Heal, and so we speak about that together. So that's our ministry. It's a lot of outreach. It's a lot of speaking. So. We do the comedy benefit shows. We do the healing tour, which is basically a testimony show. And then we also do something called Operation Restore Hope, which is a seminar on human trafficking. What? So have you seen this, The Sound of Freedom?
I sure did, yeah.
Okay, I haven't seen that movie yet, but it's on the playlist up there.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
It's well done. I'm not sure it's 100% accurate. There were parts of it I was scratching my head a little bit.
Okay.
I think Restless is a better movie, the one with the guy from King and Country. That was a really good human trafficking movie. Yeah. So I used to have the task force for human trafficking on my radio show all the time. Florida is a huge hotbed for it. I don't know if you knew that. Number 2 in the country.
Number 2, would California be number 1?
Yeah, California. The California-Mexico border is number 1.
Number 1, okay.
And Florida, number 2. Again, that area, Tampa Bay, the beach is there. You're also close to Disney World. So that's where all the strays who are runaways, that's where they go. They also have a huge foster care problem there, and that's who those groomers exploit. So I was doing, we were learning so much, and then that's when we developed that seminar. Dude, I had them on the show one time. They told me about a multi-million-dollar house on the beach in Florida. When they raided it, they found 45 girls stacked on top of each other like logs.
Dead?
Nope, they were alive, drugged out of their minds, no clothes on. They were just laying there like this, and every once in a while they'd pick them off the pile, stick them on a bed. Somebody would have sex with them. They'd throw them back on a pile, stick them in a bed. They were just beds in the rooms, and the girls, and you came in if you were the John, and you just picked the one you wanted off the ground, and they took her over there for you, and the average age was 12.
Well, how can, I just don't, the people that are paying are animals. I mean, I just.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't, how is it that, like, because the thing that's going on in the news right now with P. Diddy, and so it sounds like he has had these tapes and stuff that's happened for years and years and years, but nobody's said anything until now. Like, how is it that it's so like able to be hush hush with all this kind of trafficking? Like,
the groomers,
the money
is so big. The people that are involved are on both sides of the coin, and the groomers themselves, as far as the victims, they will tell them, if you tell on us, we'll kill your family. Okay, if you tell on us, you're dead. Or your family is dead. The biggest human trafficker in the world today is a grandmother in Mexico. Sweetest, nicest grandma. And she sends a bunch of really pretty girls dressed up to the nine in Escalades to people's houses in Mexico, sticks $50 on the table and says, that's for you, and you'll get another one every week. Your daughter's going to come with us. She's going to be a maid in one of the hotels in Manhattan. And they buy it, and then they're never seen again, that child. Wow. It's happening all the time. So the more we learned about that, the more we wanted to do it. So my wife really is an expert on it also. She has 2 master's degrees, one in divinity and one in theology. So she really researched the topic, and we do Operation Restore Hope, which is a seminar to educate people on what's actually going on with human. It's happening right under our nose.
Oh, it happens. I'm sure.
Nail salons. You could go there and you see some of the people working there are sort of fuzzed out a little bit, and they're kind of being manipulated a bit here and moved here. Go. Okay, those people are not there of their own volition.
Right.
Okay, crops that are being picked, all that kind of stuff. There's tons of it going on. It is the second largest industry in the world, the purchasing of other human beings. Second largest in the world.
Wow.
The only one that makes more money?
Soda or something? I don't know.
Drugs.
Oh, drugs. Okay.
Drugs. Okay. So if you could get rid of illegal drugs and illegal trafficking and take those billions and put them back into feeding and housing the people that don't have anything, we could fix the world all in one shot. But again,
yeah, I guess I grew up as a different person. I just can't understand why would you want a woman that you just pick up and throw on the bed and there's no love there? I just
exactly. I don't understand. How could you want to do? And a child, no less.
Right.
A baby who's not even developed. Is not a woman yet.
I just don't get
I don't get it either.
Like,
but it happens.
Yeah, I see these rich guys with these young women, and the woman's not like sexually attracted to this old ass rich guy. You know what I'm saying? So what's I don't know. I guess it's more of a trophy thing for him or something. I don't know, but I just don't see it. Like,
it's evil. It's just pure evil. Okay, and they know exactly what they're doing. They know how to get to these kids. You age out of the foster system. You have no money. They come up to you. They're real nice at first. Hey, we'll feed you. We'll get you a room. We'll take care of you.
Yeah.
And then 4 or 5 days later, they hand you a bill. Oh, you can't pay it? Oh, we have ways you could pay it.
Oh.
And then you wind up, handcuffed to the radiator for the rest of the month while you're a slave. Okay? Right. And then they take you somewhere else and do it again and again. Used to be they sold drugs, but you can only sell the drug once. You can sell a person 20 or 30 times a day.
Yeah.
So we try our best to get the word out about it, to show people. Like, for instance, if you see it, if you come upon it, the instinct would be to help, right? You're going to try and free the person.
But she probably would be in denial or something, right? Or
they're going to shoot you if you try, first of all,
okay.
right? And if you're unsuccessful, they're going to shoot her after you're gone.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the worst thing to do, is to try to help. Call a hotline, call the police, do something like that, but do not engage. Do not try and extricate the person yourself, because you're just putting everybody at danger at that point.
Yeah.
Their family, them, and you are all in risk now. You're going to try and be, a superhero, which it's not going to work anyway, because they got more guns than you're ever going to have.
Yeah.
So make a phone call, do something to help that way, or share awareness with, especially with young people. You shouldn't be running around in parking lots. You shouldn't be by yourselves in certain parts and certain areas. You got to be aware that this is happening, much more prevalent than we think it is.
So what happens once they get to like 25 and they're over the hill or something? And I mean, what happens to them then?
My guess would be that they kill them.
Okay,
So
or
again,
maybe they make them into the recruiters or something.
Maybe, something like that. Either way, in those groomers' mind, those people are disposable,
right?
And that's heinous. It's absolutely evil.
Obviously, yeah.
And we need to keep the conversation going about it, getting the word out about it, so people can understand how prevalent it really is. When the Tampa Bay area had the Super Bowl, they put notes into the Gideon's Bibles in all the hotels, so that if the victims saw it, they had a way to get out, or there was a phone number, some way they could get to somebody so they could get freed.
Wow.
Okay, so it's that,
I heard St. Louis, because there's a guy that made a film about it. St. Louis is it's a hub or something, like some kind of hub or something, they said.
Sure it is, because it's right in the middle, right?
Right.
This used to be the hub for trade back in the 1800s too, right? So it's the
gateway to the West, right?
Yeah, so it's the gateway to the West again still, but for now, for that.
Wow.
And, again, we play ostrich. We want to bury our head in the sand because it's too hard to believe. It's too hard to actually believe that that's happening in our own backyard.
I think it's hard to believe because people don't cover it enough, and the news don't talk about it, and people, there's not enough information about it. I think that's why it's hard when people hear about it. They just, it's because it's not on the mainstream media. That's what I'm trying to make my point.
True.
Yeah.
And most of the times when someone is actually lucky enough to get freed, the last thing they want to do is talk about it.
Right.
And so you don't usually hear the stories afterwards, which is good and bad. I mean, it's good for those people. They don't want to relive it. But I do know a couple of people who were trafficked who are now out there speaking and writing books about it, and again, making an impact. Whatever your mess is, you got to turn that into your message. Whatever test you've been through, that becomes your testimony. So for me, I had no choice. I was writing that book about my back pain.
Right.
I didn't really want to. I didn't want to relive it again, but I had to. Dude, if you get into a car accident and you're all in the car for you and it hits the pole and you get thrown free, I don't care if that car is smoking, you go back in and you get the other three. That's all there is to it. And it's the same mentality with that, whether it's human trafficking, pain, whatever it is, drug abuse, alcohol abuse. I'm sober 33 years now from alcohol.
Ron, you haven't had a drink in
33 years.
Wow.
I used to drink.
I got right there. You can hear.
I hear it. Thank you. Yeah, I used to drink like a Kennedy.
I used to drink a lot too. I really haven't drank in 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to stop. They had multiple interventions, all that. My last night was drinking. It was Christmas Eve, and that was a wild story. But now I help others. So if there's a guy 30 days in and he's white knuckling it, and he's really having a hard time, one of the men's recovery groups in our area would call me, hey, can you work with the guy? Can you help him? Can you one-on-one with him for a while? And I would, because that's a responsibility.
Right.
Others did it for me. I got free. I'm sober. I got to go back and help the rest.
Yeah.
And that's just been my mindset. That's how I think I wouldn't call what I have a religious situation. I call it a relationship. I'm very close to the Lord because he's done quite a lot for me.
Right.
And I know that my job now is to go back and help get the others in whatever it is, whether they're in pain, whether they're can't get rid of drinking, or whatever it is.
So here in St. Louis, where are you? Is there a church now you're working out of here in St. Louis, or
we do our own church at home? Life in Action Mission is a house church. We do a Zoom every Sunday because we still have people back in Florida who are part of our congregation. It's mostly outreach. What we do, hygiene kits, water, food, Bibles.
Okay.
We just got a bunch. We got like 100 winter coats. We got donated over the winter, so we gave those out. I think we got shoes coming now. So we get connections for different items. We get them for free, and we just give them out.
That's nice.
So we got like 40 pairs of shoes coming this week. My wife and my father-in-law, God rest his soul, used to bring tankers full of stuff to Haiti. I'm talking about
the tank, like
big giant tank. Yep. Full.
The stuff that hits bridges. Okay, yeah.
Right? Yeah. The stuff that mysteriously hits bridges now.
Right.
They would bring full, with food, water purifiers, little hand water purifiers, calculate ear implants, medicine, all kinds of stuff. My father-in-law passed away. He was, lower middle class, had nothing. But he gave away millions of dollars worth of stuff. And my wife did also. They've been all over. They went to Haiti, Dominican Republic, El Salvador, China. Again, that's how I met them. I used to interview them on the show and raise money for them.
Do you ever go to those places?
I've never been. No, I've never. No. But I would like to.
I would like to do it too, actually. I would like to do that, yeah.
I want to see, the stories they told. The people are just so appreciative for anything.
Oh, yeah.
And just so happy to have even the basics. If my cable's fuzzy for 2 days, I'm crying like a little girl, but they're happy just to get a glass of clean water.
Get some wheat or whatever. Yeah.
They're going to the bathroom, they're cooking, they're washing in the same water.
Right. That's why it's funny when people complain about their little petty problems on Facebook and things like that. They never really seen third world stuff. I mean, I've been to like Barbados and things like that. That was probably the closest I've seen to like maybe a third world kind of country, but I've never been to like Haiti.
Haiti's considered a fourth world country now. Okay.
Yeah.
They have nothing, no natural resources left, nothing but infighting. A friend of ours has a orphanage there that we know. Dude, he's under gunfire every single day. They're trapped right now. They can't get back to their house. They're trapped in an undisclosed location because nobody can get on the road right now.
Wow.
This is what goes on in other parts of our world, And so, we just try to put a light on it, share it, talk about it. We do, podcasts also like you're doing here to just get the word out on different things. Like I think you saw the one we did the other day. Is a lady who's
I got the clip right here.
That's it. Yep, she's that lady right there. Tammy is her name. She goes to Kenya and gets kids off the streets. There's a big street kid issue in Kenya. Kids are abandoned all the time.
So she gets on the street and brings them back to the United States?
She finds places for them to live there. And she builds playgrounds and schools for them. She gets supplies and food and clothing and everything for them. Okay, she doesn't have anything either, but she's just dedicated her heart to that.
Yeah.
And so we're doing a show for her on May the 18th.
May the 18th?
Yeah, we're doing a comedy show. It's actually God's Got Talent, they're calling it. So there'll be musicians and other people as well. And it's going to be a really good, fun night and a way to raise some money for what she's doing. There it is. Tree of Life Foundation is the name of her group.
Okay. Let's see if we can go to the page here. So,
and I just booked another benefit show Sunday, April 28th. They're a group that does non-alcoholic mixology. and it's called Stand Up for Addiction. And that's what that show is going to be, for raising
people
money
drink
for.
like pina coladas with no alcohol.
Exactly.
Like
so you can still enjoy all the taste, but
Yeah.
you don't have the booze and the trouble that comes with it. And so we're doing that at Funny Bones in St. Charles on Sunday, April 28th.
April 20th. Okay.
And that's a fundraiser for them. Stand Up to
Now,
Addiction.
would you do dirty comedy again? If I mean,
I guess, every once in a while, I guess it's fun to still just whip it out just to do it, but I don't really enjoy it. I prefer the extra effort, the time it takes to craft a good, real joke.
Yeah.
Okay.
It seems like sometimes it's a cheap way to get a joke, too.
It is.
Yeah.
You're really frightening them. You're just saying the F word at the right time.
Yeah.
And then just going, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's really not that funny. So I work extra hard to do jokes that my 8-year-old grandson and 4-year-old granddaughter can hear, and so can grandma and everybody in between. And nobody's offended. I don't want to disrespect the audience. You go up there and you start cursing at them, you're disrespecting them.
Yeah.
So take the extra effort, craft a real joke. Look, I make fun of myself. That's another thing I do. I'm not Don Rick. I'm not going to go up there and rip on everybody else.
Yeah.
There's plenty of things to make fun of with me.
Yeah.
And that's my whole act. It's just picking on me and my wife, and my
wife.
parents, Yeah, I call her, she's a helicopter wife. She goes to every show. She puts all the props up there. She tells me what order to do the jokes in. I'm pretty sure the last time I saw her, she bought orange slices and juice boxes for the other comedians. And she's just like all into it. God bless her.
Cool.
So she's my little helicopter wife. I tell
cool.
everybody she worships the quicksand that I walk on.
Well, I'll have to come see you do a show. Yeah, we do comedy. Some of the stuff's kind of it's back and forth. I like to do kind of a mixture, but it's also like it's fun to do like a shock joke, but then sometimes it's cool to do that long build up kind of joke too.
Look, there are dirty jokes that are funny. Okay, like I did one. There was a party I did the other night, and so again they wanted it a little dirty. So I said, this guy's been around so long, he remembers rotary phones.
Yeah.
I said, and he used to have a lot of phone sex with the rotary phones, and then one night his penis got stuck in the 3.
Oh my God, that's funny. Pretty good. That's pretty good.
So again, that's funny, but you didn't go too far. But again, if you can craft a joke that doesn't need anything at all, anything dirty in it all, that's really going to be the best.
Do you think this kind of cancel culture, kind of PC kind of things, kind of the pendulum's kind of swinging back now? I feel like it's kind of swinging back now. Like it got a little extreme where people are getting a little too offensive on some kind of things that don't need to be offended about, and now it seems like it's kind of coming back.
We got so offended, we got rid of Aunt Jemima, who didn't do anything to anybody. That woman that they were using for that
for the syrup,
right?
Yeah. Okay,
that's a great woman. If you know her history, what she did, she deserved to be where she was. Right? We got rid of Pepe Le Pew also, right? We got so woke that it was out of control.
Right.
Way too. I believe you're right. I think it's starting to swing back. I think enough people have said, really, seriously.
Well, they're starting to look at the stock prices of like Disney and things like that, and it's starting to realize.
I think we're also starting to realize that life is too short. I think what we've all been through in the last 3 years, 4 years, whatever it is now,
4 years,
life's just too short to be bitching and moaning about little stuff that don't really matter,
Right.
And all right, so maybe that joke wasn't your cup of tea, but don't get offended. Just change the channel, or just whatever, move on.
Yeah.
And so I think people are starting to realize that.
Well, I think
way
the
out of
thing
control.
too it's where people's heart is where it's coming from too, is when this, a joke too. Like you can tell if it's a joke or if it's trying to be harmful to somebody and hurt somebody too. I mean, it's just kind of a tone too.
You can see from the tone,
Yeah.
mostly from their look on their face also, how they're setting it up. So is this person actually a jerk and a racist and a mean-spirited person, or is he just making fun of what's going on in the world? For instance, like All in the Family, right?
Yeah.
So that show you couldn't do today now. No way, right? I don't think you could do it now.
No, you definitely couldn't do that show.
Okay?
Yeah.
But then it worked. And not because we idolized Archie Bunker, but we learned to make fun of him. We learned that he was the butt of the joke, that it was stupid to be racist.
Right.
And we're going to show you how stupid it is by showing you this stupid idiot.
Right.
I mean, he was just so dumb. It's not even funny, right?
Yeah.
And so we all got to laugh at racism. We go to laugh at how silly it was. And it helped change race relations in this country. When Sammy Davis Jr. kissed him on the cheek, half the country was watching. And we all got a good laugh out of it, right? And
Yeah,
it changed the way we started looking at it.
Right.
So it had its value. Today, though, you couldn't pull that off. You couldn't do the Jeffersons today. You couldn't do half of the shows that were on TV back when we were growing up. You couldn't watch them now. You couldn't put them on now. They wouldn't make it.
Yeah, but but I think that's where the independent media is kind of like filling in that gap with a lot of stuff too. So it's really people are turning to, especially when it comes to news and stuff. Like people are using the podcast thing and stuff. I mean, they just with the news, people aren't even believing stuff that they're putting out there now.
You are an unbiased source of news. You have no agenda.
No, I have no agenda. I mean, I hope people like you out there. I'm hoping.
They do. They like you. You got followers.
No, I'm talking about you, though.
But I'm saying
I'm not trying to persuade their opinion about how they should feel about you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, but the mainstream media, you better believe they are.
Right.
In every story they have an agenda. There's a slant. They're not telling you the truth anymore, okay?
Right.
And they're filtering the information and only telling you what's in their best interest for you to know. Mm-hmm. That's what's going on. So independent sources like yourself and people who are stepping outside of that, not needing it for the money, not doing it for the bigger business that they own, okay? Mm-hmm. Right? That's where you're going to find the real stories from guys like you.
Well, thank you. I'm trying. So, okay, so you got the show on the 28th. What's the other show?
We have May 18th also.
May 18th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And those are the two I got coming up, I think, now. Yeah, those are the two for now. I just did a really cool thing, though, here in town.
Oh, what do you do?
Yeah, there's a PBS show that's run out of here called Mama Said, Mama Said. And it was on just local Channel 9 for the last 10 years. Yeah.
Okay.
This year now it's going to be national. It's actually going to be on national PBS.
Really?
So they put out the word that they wanted guys and girls to come in and tell stories about their mom. So I auditioned for it, and I got it. And last Saturday, we did the whole taping at the Grandel Theater. You know that beautiful theater downtown?
Yeah. Yep.
We shot it downtown, and I told this great story about my mom. You want to hear it?
Yeah, I want to hear it, yeah.
Okay, cool. So I was just, like I said, a working-class comic. You know, I was upstate New York. I was in Poughkeepsie, New York, right? Mm-hmm. So my aunt and uncle lived in that area. And they saw their nephew's picture in the newspaper, and they were like so proud. They were so happy. Now that used to mean something before Al Gore invented the internet. You know, your picture in the paper. So they called my parents and they said, "Come on up. We'll surprise him. We'll go to the show. He won't know we're there. It'll be exciting." Okay, great. I don't know they're there, so I'm blissfully unaware. I'm doing my act, and I'm doing jokes about my mom, about how she's the Eucharistic minister at church, and she can do Jesus behind the back and between the legs and around the side, and she's going on the cathedral tour and the whole thing. And then all of a sudden you hear, "The lightning bolt is going to strike you dead right there on the spot." I lean down under the lights. I'm like, "Ma? What are you doing here?" Yeah. And she's like, "Your Aunt Cecilia called. We went out to dinner last night. What a crazy fakakta idea. The chicken was cold, and now this." And then she stood up, dude, and she threw her shoe at me in front of 350 people.
And what's going to be on television show,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, now that's all going to be on Mama Said, which is.
Now, was that set up, though? Did they script it to have your mom in the audience?
No. They
wow, they were probably like, wow, this is a good,
yeah.
Good show.
So we'll see how it turns out. But anyway, that's gonna air on Mother's Day. But we taped it this past Saturday at the Grandel Theater.
Okay.
And there's a lot of great stories, a lot of funny ones. One guy accidentally gave his mom a gummy. So it was My Mummy on a Gummy. That was the name of that story. The other one, the lady inseminated herself. So she says, "You know, I'm the mom and the dad. I got the parts I needed on eBay, and now I got a kid." And she tells that whole story.
It's all on PBS?
All going to be on PBS.
Okay.
Another lady, her mom was on Judge Judy, and she was the guest, the witness for her mom on Judge Judy. So there was some really funny, really cool stories. So they're going to be just showing all those on the show. Mama Said, Mama Said. Okay. It's going to be on PBS in May. Again, all across the whole country.
Oh, I got your Life in Action mission. This is the page right here?
Yep, that's our page right there. There's my wife right there showing one of her classes right there, her Hope class right there. So, again, you can go to lifeinactionmission.com or inspireyou.org, and you can order the classes, and we'll just send you the links. You can order the books there also. You can also book us for a comedy show, for a healing tour show, or for an Operation Restore Hope human trafficking seminar.
Okay. Okay.
So that's the one for the alcohol right there, the Comedy for a Cause.
Comedy
That's
for
the
a
one
Cause,
at Funny Bone. That's April. Yep, Stand Up to Addiction.
One in St. Charles. So
yep, and that's going to be Sunday the 28th at 5 o'clock. They're going to have food and everything. They've got St. Louis Comedy Sports. You know who those guys are?
Yeah, they do the improv.
Yeah.
I was
Mike,
trying to get them on the
Mike McGuire, a good buddy of mine here since I got here, and he's going to be on that show also. You want to get him on this show? I'll help you.
Let me. Well, I invited him, but I was at a bar when he was doing it, so he was probably busy. Right? He probably didn't realize the kind of like I have a legit studio. And stuff
I'll
like
talk to him about it. I wrote a story about him for the Webster Kirkwood Times also about comedy. I love what they're doing because they're actually playing a game with two teams with uniforms, and the audience decides who wins, who was funnier.
Yeah, I like it. Yes, they have some really fun games, and they have stuff where the audience, they can pull the audience into it. Some of the skits, too, which is fun because that audience participation makes it kind of fun. So
so they're going to be on that show also, and it's $40, and that includes dinner. And we got magic, too, and music, 4 different stand-ups. I'm headlining. Again, it's going to be at the Funny Bone in St. Charles, Sunday the 28th. It starts at 5 o'clock on that Sunday.
Okay, dinner included. I didn't know they had dinner at the Funny Bone, so...
I think they do the catered thing that night. Because it's a special fundraiser there for these guys. So it's Comedy for a Cause.
Well, that's good to know, yeah.
Mindful Mixology is the name of the group. And again, they do the mocktails. So they're going to have all kinds of different really tasty drinks. But again, no alcohol. So if you want to enjoy all that, but you can't drink, you can still. And so that's why they tied it to Stand Up to Addiction. Because, hey, we want everybody. If you're struggling with addiction, we can help.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks for coming on the podcast, man. This is a great, man. I could probably talk to you forever with the stories, especially your traveling comedy stories.
I got a million stories of those.
We'll have to have you come back and tell some more stories. And so next time, bring your wife. Your wife can come on too.
I would love that. I think she would love it too. And dude, I just want to say to you real fast, this means more than you know what you're doing.
Oh,
you're reaching people.
Oh,
okay. You're making an impact.
Oh, appreciate
you're
that.
Bringing real. You're bringing the real, the authentic. Okay. You're very authentic. Okay. I love your set. I love what you're doing, and you're doing.
Teary-eyed over here.
You're doing a fantastic job. It means
thanks.
something. So
thank you
for having us. Thank you for doing this. The community needs what you're doing. So
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, he got me all teary-eyed, folks. Check out the Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs. We'll be back tomorrow at noon. We have a new another guest coming tomorrow at noon, so we'll have a live show. Check out the artistunitednetwork.com, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow. We are out.
I'm about to dig the Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs. The Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs. Dig.